we're going to talk about a different kind of virus today. Well, depends on where you've been in the last few years, I suppose. But we usually talk about computer stuff. So anyway, John is going to talk about some issues in Shanghai with ATMs and viruses in today's not so critical update.
Seems like Shanghai just can't catch a break. Like, really, my God, they are one catastrophe after the other. All seems to be related to COVID. This time, banks are suspending ATM use and cash distribution on fear, because of the fear of virus-infected cash. So droplets of COVID being on the cash that's handed to them, and that being a form of spread. Now, if you ask me, this sounds like a very, very loosely, transparent veil to start pushing users to a central digital currency. Now, this is not uncalled.
Yes!
I didn't say blockchain or crypto or Bitcoin. Sir,
you said central digital currency.
Central digital. I mean, that's close enough, mate.
Yeah, well, I didn't even.
And he had his hand up like this, and like
he's like trying to preempt
the next sentence was gonna be.
But I haven't started yet. Okay, all right. So go make your coffee, go take a shower, go on a run. All right, here we're going to be here for a while. No, I'll keep it short. I'll keep it short and sweet. So, country close to me, Sweden, they have successfully moved away from cash. You will struggle to go into a big box store, grocery chain, any type of larger franchise, and pay with cash because everyone's gone away with it. It's more efficient to go digital only, and the government loves it because they can track every single transaction. It all started with buses. The buses in Sweden kept getting robbed. And the way the bus was designed was that you'd walk up to the driver, and like many other buses, he'd have right next to the door pretty much a little register, tiny register where you could pay with cash or coins. And people would jump on, say, give me the money, and it's policy to just hand it, and then they run off. And it became such a problem that the national bus, I forget what they're called, basically the government-run bus agency or transport agency said no more cash, only access cards. So they overhauled the whole system. There's no cash accepted anywhere besides at like big thick glass protected stations where you would be able to pay with cash for a card for a set amount of time.
Yeah.
And then it just expanded. It exploded to the point where you now are completely digital in Sweden. You have your digital identity. You have everything.
So you can't pay for anything in cash there.
I mean, well, you can find some places they'll still accept cash, and you can go to a bank and pull out money, but they're doing away with it slowly but surely. And eventually no cash will be left. I don't know what they'll do with the physical cash, because I think you need something to back all of these digital transactions. But maybe that's actually a lie, just looking at the US and their physical versus digital. And instead it will just be a digital number, which is very scary. This is extremely scary because but I do not trust. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to, we're almost at that point now in the US. I went into a convenience store the other day to buy like a $2 pop and pulled my card out, and
that's
the guy
said,
that's right. Is it nobody knows pop? That's not what we say here.
That's what you say. Thanks. You basically doxed yourself just from using the word pop. But yeah, go ahead, please.
All right.
There's only one guy left in America who still uses the word pop to mean a fizzy drink.
At any rate,
the
it was
other guy's Mike's
$2.
neighbor. He's 90.
Yeah, it was $2, and the store owner asked me if I had cash, and I kind of felt bad because I know that if I use my card, he has to pay 35 cents on the transaction. So
Right.
I get why he would want that, especially on what's probably a relatively low margin item anyway.
Yeah.
I don't carry cash. I haven't carried cash in years. If I have $1 in my wallet, it's like shocking.
Yeah, I know people who don't carry cash anymore, and in Malta, this similar thing. You can't buy cigarettes with a card because the margin they get on it is so low that if you buy it with a card, then they just don't get any profit at all because the money is set by the government and the tax is set on everything. But it's similar in the UK. They're not some people just don't carry cash at all anymore, which is annoying in weird times. Like we went swimming the other day and didn't have a pound coin for the locker. I don't know if you have the same thing. You've got to put a coin in, whatever.
That's crazy.
I don't know.
That's not digital.
It's weird. It
So
kind
two
of is
things.
crazy,
Two
yeah.
things are going to have to be solved. One is the margin for such
let's talk about the story.
purchases. And right. So.
No.
I personally think China loves the idea of a digital revolution in its currency distribution.
I
it's
think
more
that's
control.
I think that's very conspiratorial. I don't think it's nearly that sophisticated. Like, I'm not going to
But
give the Chinese
they're
government
already planning a CBDC. So it just makes sense that they'd start using any excuse they can to push people away from cash and force them to use digital means to make their purchases.
Yeah, I am not willing to go that far on their motives, but central bank digital currency is the future. Like, it's coming for everybody.
Yeah, it's true.
There's no way around it. Like, it sucks and we don't want it and crypto's better, whatever. You're not going to get that.
Well, I think what's going to happen is you'll have a split. There will be countries who will see decentralized crypto as their savior because of their rising inflation. For any number of reasons, maybe they don't have the means or the technology to mimic crypto. And then you'll have the other side, which sees Bitcoin and Litecoin and Ethereum and Monero as a huge threat to their control, and will then spin up their own version. And the scary thing here is that we all know how well governments do with technology. So,
so let me reframe.
For the record, they don't do well.
Let me reframe the two sides, John, because what you're going to have are countries that want to live in economic isolation and not do business with anyone, and countries who want to do business with the US or China and buy into the central bank digital currency.
Possibly. That's a possibility. It really depends on how these governments handle it. Because
if the US and China get on board with central bank digital currency, as has happened with the US dollar being the standard currency for oil transactions, which is what keeps it afloat in the entire world. If you're a country who says, well, we're not going to use your currency, we're going to do our own thing, they're out in the wilderness.
Potentially. That's a possibility. That's a scenario that could occur.
I found it kind of ironic that it's actual virus, which is the cause of this.
Right.
So this is my
ATM viruses.
That's the thing I want to say. So there's a really funny episode of Rick and Morty. If you haven't seen it, it's a really funny show.
No spoilers, mate. Mate, I've just started binge watching Rick and Morty, so
okay. Well, then I can't use this as a reference because it's really
you
funny.
can't. No,
Do
correct.
it.
I was wearing Rick and Morty's socks today, though.
You want to remove your headphones for a second?
Okay,
How old is this show? Isn't this like an adult?
It's a spoiler, by the way.
Like
so if you haven't seen Rick and Morty and you plan on watching it, you should pause or skip 30 seconds. Basically, Rick gets a hold of a console that lets him reset the Galactic Empires. I think it's the Galactic Empires or Galactic Federation, their currency. And he's like, he moves it from a 1 to a 0 and the whole thing collapses. And that, I think, is what can happen now. Peter, you can put it back.
He's not paying attention.
Put it back, Peter. Peter, put it back.
What is that?
You
He just-
put the.
what's he
okay.
showing us?
Anyway,
Yeah, I got it.
there you go. There you go.
Hey, sorry, what?
Took a
I
look
was
at
kind of
that.
enjoying
So,
that.
what the scary thing that will happen with these central bank currencies is how are they going to be protected from malicious attackers, and how will the price be manipulated, and how will they handle inflation when they don't need physical printers anymore? They can just at a press of a button say there's $1 trillion more dollars. Super scary stuff. Not something I'm a fan
That can
of.
happen right now, though, can't it?
Well, it would just, I guess, in a way, yeah.
All right.
I
I
guess
missed
the
a lot of
Treasury
context
can
there,
just
obviously. So,
make a transfer. But either way, I don't trust the security of a government-backed digital currency.
which is weird because you're generally such a trusting person, John, especially when it comes to governments.
But isn't it interesting? We don't see these kinds of attacks on the banking system generally. The banking
What do you
system
mean?
itself has been generally secure, hasn't it? We don't hear stories about financial, like banks losing tons of money to hackers.
All the time.
Where?
I
Do we not hear?
bet
Like, why
you I
don't?
just bank hack? Let's type that in. Go to Google News. See what we
Let's
got.
do this live. You know,
Flagstar Bank was hacked, but didn't realize for months. 1 day ago.
Oh, that was the Social
and cash
Security
was
thing, yeah.
stolen out of people's accounts.
I will have to click on it.
no, Social Security numbers.
Oh, that's not.
Well, I don't know how.
That's just Social Security numbers.
Yeah,
Former AWS
I don't
engineer
get the whole
charged,
SSN
convicted
thing,
over
I
hack
don't
that cost Capital One $270 million.
But not
sure
taking
if
money out
they-
of people's
Not
accounts.
sure if they stole. So the last one, when you said that, the last one that came to mind was a bank in India that got hacked, I believe, and they lost. It was an absurd amount. I don't remember exactly. I think it was
true,
like
actually.
$270 million.
I know.
And
I know what Mike is
It was
saying, though.
not
This-
recovered.
It does seem like
but
this sort of
banks-
shit should be happening a lot more. It happens in movies a lot. So, I mean, we're seeing a lot of real life imitating movies lately. So maybe the next thing is like the what is it? You get the two screens, the guy on the laptop, and then the thing on the screen, and then there's like a 9-digit number, and it like good, and you see it transferring over to the other one. That's yeah.
Sure.
Why doesn't that happen more often? It would be big news. Maybe they just cover it up. Maybe it does happen and they cover it up.
I mean, in
I
the
think
US,
that
I
it
guess-
also isn't. Yeah.
Go ahead, John.
No. Please go ahead.
We're just gonna end the show here if you don't talk.
Oh,
Yeah, fuck Facebook.
So I
Right, I
guess
guess that's-
one, it's not something that they want to advertise. I'm not sure on the regulations on disclosure here because the banks work with the United States government. So I don't know how that works. We'd have to look into this. But really, the target isn't the bank. The target is the end user. So I imagine that it's easier to phish a user for their Bank of America credentials than it is to hack Bank of America.
Absolutely. But if criminals were marching into bank branches and walking out with piles of cash from the vaults, you'd hear about that everywhere. If it was happening online, I assume it would be getting some amount of press coverage, and you just don't hear those stories.
I guess that's true. I do know that the United States still relies on legacy systems for their banking, which is why most
Yeah,
bank
for
sites suck, is because they have to communicate with these really, really old COBOL systems
Yeah.
that
It's an
are like
HTML
50
UI
years
for
old.
some old mainframe computer.
Yeah. So in them having to interface, I guess, makes it very difficult. And maybe the protection there is the age. That it's kind of hard to hack something that's still running on tapes, you know?
There aren't a lot of 27-year-old Cobalt Russian hackers.
No, there aren't.
Or just proven defenses, things that have been hacked a few times and they figured out the bugs. And the maybe the newer systems are going to be hacked more frequently.
Definitely.
Maybe all
They're
these
more
challenger banks like
complicated.
Revolut and Monzo and whatever,
Right.
they're all going to be like, yeah, we're going to see bigger hacks. Hey, we could only hope, eh?
It'll keep us in business.